Well, welcome back to the Gritty Glitter podcast, where we lift heavy, we think clearly, and we build lives with teeth. I'm Krista, performance coach, mindset coach, professional chaos tamer, and the person who will lovingly tell you the truth, even if your nervous system would prefer to be coddled and have a lullaby. So, if you are new here, this is the show for athletes, lifeletes, people who are in midlife who are not interested in shrinking, being told to soften or take it easy just because life gets louder. We train smart, we recover like adults, we use data when it matters, and we stop outsourcing our confidence to other people's opinions. Today's episode is actually a special episode. Typically, I have episodes come out every Monday and every Thursday. This one, I've been sitting on it and I'm over it. And it needs to come out. It needs to be said. I could piss some people off. People may feel offended. I can't help that. I cannot. I can't help that. It is what it is. This is for anybody who are builders. And what I mean by that is, and this is myself included, for the ones who are creating something real. Perhaps it's a program, it's a business with zero help, it's a new identity, it's a new standard, it's a fitness app, it's a coaching business, it's a whatever it is. And if you've ever felt like strangers clap louder than your inner circle, you are not crazy. You're not delusional. You're not too much. You're just running into a very old human phenomenon that has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with how our brains protect their little comfort bubbles. So today's episode, let's just cruise on into it. It could be, that is why maybe your closest people can be your hardest sell, or why it stings, or why it happens, and what to do about it so you stop bleeding emotional energy into buckets that are laden with holes. So let's just freaking cruise on into the episode of the day. The truth about your inner circle and why you are the prophet in your own country problem. So I need to get a pen because I always take notes. But let me paint the scene here. And quite honestly, I feel this is a little scary for me to do, because this is, again, my podcast, everything that I do is based off of my experience, my knowledge, my research, my background, all of those things, right? So let me paint this scene. And for anybody who relates to this, this is for you. This is for me. You post your program, you start your business, you change jobs, you move away to a new town, whatever it is, okay? You're consistent, you're building receipts, right? And you have decades of experience, or you are somebody who lives by the highest standards and you audit your life constantly, things like that, right? Whatever that is, okay? And you have continued your education, or you have practical skills, and the kind of lived in wisdom you only get from doing work for years, or being the person who isn't afraid to fail or change or do this, right? And perhaps you launch something and you're super proud of it, and you're nervous and you feel like you want to throw up, right? Like you're doing the whole I believe in myself but I want to throw up dance, right? And then that circle, the people that or the acquaintances, friends, whoever it is, they respond to it with a heart emoji, or ooh, that's so cool, or silence so loud that crickets have an echo, like they're in the middle of an empty theater. And this is another one too, the famous, like, oh, look at you, you did it. Okay, nothing like being emotionally patted on the head by someone you thought would be in the front row with a freaking foam finger that says, you're number one, screaming your name, right? And here's the raw truth. And this is something that I am realizing, is that the inner circle that we have is often the last to treat us like an authority. And it's not because we aren't one. but because what we do is we disrupt their mental filing system. And that filing system is really, really sticky. And that's why this hurts so damn much. It hurts because we didn't just build a business, we built a version of ourselves. I built a version of myself. You put all of you into something for everyone to see. You built courage. I built courage. You built an identity. You built standards, right? You built momentum. And it's normal to want to, to want the people closest to you to witness that and be like, oh my God, dude, I see you. I get you. And I'm proud of you. And I've had a few say that, but the large majority has been like, really? That's what you got to say about it? It's like a snake bite to the freaking nuts, right? Like straight to the balls. The snake comes in and like, bam! You're like, well, I wasn't expecting that. But here's the twist that, and as I'm learning this and I'm navigating, right, that is going to save your sanity. Support and purchases are not the same thing. And I am learning that, and I'm coming to terms with it, and I'm learning how to navigate it, leverage it, be a badass, and execute. So validation and conversion are not the same thing. Love and capacity are not the same thing, okay? Some people who love you deeply will never buy from you. Some people will be proud of you and still not want to change their life. Some people will cheer for you quietly because cheering loudly would require them to face their own stagnation, their own insecurities, whatever they are, right? And that's where the psychology comes in. So statistic identity bias, their brain has labeled you and it hates updating labels. It likes things to remain the same. It likes certainty. It likes comfort, right? Humans don't experience reality neutrally. So we experience it through mental shortcuts, right? And I have had this happen to me when I've seen people that I know do things, right? So I'm not exempt in this. It just makes me more aware of it, what I've done, and me, and navigating through it right now, right? So we experience it through mental shortcuts, categories, schemas, and then roles. And your people have a long running mental file on you, and it's not a conscious spreadsheet, but it behaves like one. So for instance, the file might be labeled Krista friend, Krista family member, Krista peer, Krista the one who's always worked out, Krista the one who's been lean her entire life, Krista the one who was a CrossFit Masters athlete, Krista who fitness comes easy to her, Krista, she's my person. Then you show up as Krista the expert, or Krista the founder, Krista the business owner, CEO, Krista the authority, Krista an expert in her field, Krista coach who expects standards. Now their brain has to do, the annoying work of reconciling old data with new data. And many people, God bless their hearts, right, would rather reorganize their garage than reorganize their beliefs. And this is where cognitive dissonance shows up, and it's the psychological discomfort that happens when two things feel true at the same time, but they don't match neatly. They are not two puzzle pieces that gently and perfectly fit and blend together, right? So an example would be, I know Krista personally, and Krista is a professional I should pay for and take seriously. Some people resolve that discomfort by upgrading their perception of me, of you. Others resolve it by minimizing you so they can keep their old files intact because it's easier and it doesn't take work. Again, your brain likes comfort. And this is why you can be wildly credible to strangers and totally weirdly invisible to people who have watched you evolve, right? Strangers don't have the old file. They meet you as the current version of you. That's how they know you, right? Your inner circle, it has a backlog. So the Badger translation of this is, they are not evaluating your competence, they are defending their own mental map. And if you keep trying to quote unquote convince them, you're basically you're asking them to do psychological paperwork that they didn't consent to at all, right? So the mirror effect and your growth reflects their lack of movement. Now, here's where it gets spicy, okay? Sometimes the reason that people may not support you loudly is because their growth makes them uncomfortable, right? And I talk about this a lot on my podcast. Not because they hate you, but because your progress, it confronts them. And your discipline, my discipline is a mirror. My consistency, your consistency is a mirror. The courage becomes a mirror, and the willingness to be seen becomes a mirror, right? And then they acknowledge you, support you, or join your program. If they do that, they might have to face a private truth that burns, right? She leveled up. I didn't. I'm still the same. I said I was going to do this. Here I am, and that hurts. And humans are avoidance artists. We will avoid discomfort like it's our unpaid internship. So instead of using that discomfort as fuel, some people use dismissal as an anesthesia, and they don't ask questions, they don't engage, they keep it surface level, and they treat your business like it's some cute little hobby that you started, and oh, how fun for you, right? Because if they keep us as, or they keep me, or because I'm using me as the example, just Krista, they don't have to face what your evolution implies about their choices. And again, most of the time, they are not doing this consciously. Their brain is this sneaky little gremlin, and it wants to protect the person from shame, from comparison, and ultimately identity disruption. So quick science, and I want to keep this simple and real, keeping it simple, stupid, but I also love the whole science part. Humans are wired for social comparison, especially with people who feel similar to them, right? And that's why the inner circle is stronger than the stranger effect. Strangers are not your comparison category. Family and friends are. People that are in your circle, acquaintances, somebody, neighbors, whatever, right? So your success can feel like a threat to their self-concept, even if they love you, even if they like you, even if they think you're like the freaking like dopest person in the world, right? They might not even realize that, that is what is happening. And they just know they feel weird, so they go quiet. So here's a tough love moment. If their silence is coming from their own discomfort, you cannot talk them out of it. And because we need to understand that is completely an inside job on their part. So I've talked about this before. I have a whole episode on it, the crabs in a bucket mentality. And I want to talk about the crab in a bucket dynamic right now, because comfort loves company, even subconsciously. And this is where things get real and they get raw. Some people want you successful, as long as your success does not change your place in their social ecosystem. They want the glow up, but they do not want the shift that occurs. So because if you grow, it may mean this: you have higher standards, you've leveled your shit up, you have less tolerance for nonsense, you stop being available on demand, you stop playing the old role. And that, quite honestly, really freaks a lot of people out. So instead of adjusting to your evolution, they try to keep you familiar. So not by saying don't grow, that would be too obvious, right? They do it through subtle minimizing. And the comments look like, perhaps it's like, must be nice, or don't get too big for yourself. Well, you're lucky. It's just fitness, or that's so cute, or silence when you win, attention when you struggle. And this is the psychological version of grabbing your ankle, crabs in a bucket, grabbing the leg while you climb out of the bucket. Sometimes it's jealousy. Sometimes it's fear of losing access to you. I mean, that is a very real thing, right? Sometimes it's a subconscious need to keep the group identity stable. And the point is not to villainize anyone. The point is to stop letting it derail you, to stop letting it derail me. Now, a badger rule, God, you know me, I love freaking rules, right? Well, badger rules anyway, hot badger tips. If your growth makes someone uncomfortable, this is not a sign to shrink. It is a sign to keep your eyes on the work. So familiarity breeds casualness. And they've seen you tired, human, and 100% unfiltered, like at your shittiest, most crappy looking moments, in your most like worst times, all of the things, right? Strangers, they get little pieces here and there of you. And typically it's a highlight roll. It's the perfect flex, or it's like, hey, the sun's in my eyes, kind of like Reddit, but you get what I mean. Your inner circle, they've seen every freaking blooper along the way. They see it all. And they know that you get headaches. They know you have hard days. They know that you don't feel your best right now and that you feel a little sick and you still fucking got to do your shit, even though it's like, right? You have seasons where you go quiet, you doubt yourself, right? You are a human with a nervous system, not a motivational poster. So when they see you show up as a professional authority, some people struggle to separate your humanity from your expertise. It's just all lumped together like one big ooky messed up piece of Play-Doh, like where all the colors just get smashed together and it's like, ooh. But let's be clear, being human does not qualify you from being excellent. It qualifies you. And most truly skilled professionals are not robots, particularly, this is important, in the age of AI. We are humans who learn through repetition, failure, reflection, refinement, and starting over again. Repetition, failure, reflection, refinement, right? Yet some people interpret, I know you personally, as you cannot be an authority. And this is what is known as a logical error. And it's why the inner circle can be a weirdly casual, it can be weirdly casual while strangers treat you like a pro, right? Strangers see your competence without all of the history that has come along with it. And family, friends, acquaintances, neighbors, people who have some sort of a rapport with you, they see the history and they forget the competence. So the uncomfortable bonus with all of this is you're free for a long time. And this is like real talk, okay? If you've been the advice giver, the coach friend, the strong one, the fixer, the just ask Krista person, or just ask so-and-so, like they'll help you out, then some people have gotten used to consuming your expertise at friend and family discount prices. And I'm just using that because that's a general term, right, that we all know. And what the meaning is, it means it's free. So when you put a price tag on your skill, it triggers a relational shift. And some people don't know how to handle shifts well, particularly a relational shift. This one really throws people for a loop. They will pay a stranger hundreds and hundreds of dollars to tell them to do the exact same thing that you told them last year because the stranger is quote unquote official. I'm just Krista, or you're just so-and-so, or you are. And your job is not to stay free. Your job is to be valuable, clear, and properly compensated. If someone wants access to your professional brain, your professional programming, your professional support, they enter the client lane, which brings me to the solution, okay? And I've really been tearing this apart a lot lately. And the takeaway is this, my hopes is it's going to change everything, okay? So stop looking for expert validation from people only qualified to validate you, as a friend, as somebody in your circle. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. There's one thing we need to understand in this, okay? It's just learning, navigating through the process. So stop, right, again, looking for that validation. So a friend validation, perhaps it could sound like, I love you, I'm proud of you, I'm glad for you, that's awesome, it's great, I'm excited. Expert validation sounds like your methodology is solid, your offer is well built, your program is worth paying for, your leadership is undeniable. And most of the inner circle, it cannot give the second because they are not evaluating you through that lens. The optic is totally different. And if you keep expecting it, we will keep hurting our own feelings like it's cardio, okay? And this is not a dunk on our people, on my people, your people, anybody's people. And I need to articulate that and make that very clear. It's just category clarity. you know, your friends, your family, your neighbors, your acquaintances, right? They don't need to be your customers. Your friends don't need to be your audience. Your inner circle does not need to be your conversion metric. So what do we do instead, right? Because look, from our perspective, there's a familiarity of why we glom onto that. There's a safety in that, okay? So let's be clear about that. So my Badger protocol for building without begging, and this is the part where, I want to get practical because feelings are real, but so are bills, right? So are small businesses, a small business of me that has things that need to be taken care of, right? So stop pitching the inner circle and start sorting, right? Some of the inner circle will be supportive, but not buyers, curious, but hesitant, silently threatened, not your people anymore. And your job is not to drag them to belief. It's not like you're going to tie them to the back of a horse by their freaking ankles and drag them through town and is like, okay, we're going to do this until you're going to believe, right? That's not what it's about, okay? If someone, because if we do, we're wasting energy, right? Your job is to sort them so that we stop wasting that kind of energy, okay? That's not our job at that point in time. And if someone consistently minimizes your work, ignores your wins, or treats your business like entertainment, take the hint. And that's data. You are getting real time in the moment feedback, right? So here's where you create two lanes. So it's, your inner circle lane, and then we've got your client lane. And this is how you keep relationships clean and maintain your sanity. So friend lane gets normal life, okay? Client lane gets coaching, programming, strategy, deep support, and access. And if a friend wants coaching, then they can move into the client lane like an adult. And if they want quick tips, you give a small contained response, then you redirect it. So a simple line like this it would look something like this. So I'm happy to share a general thought, but if you want something that is tailored to you, then that's coaching. And I've got options for that as well. Warm, clear, no apology, no weird, crazy ass, uncomfortable energy. Do not discount your work to make someone comfortable. This is huge. And it's something that I found that I was doing all the time. If you shrink your price to reduce someone's discomfort, you're not making a sale. You're making yourself smaller. Your people do not need cheaper. They need consistent and undeniable. Build proof, not arguments. So you will never out argue someone's discomfort. So it's just to understand, just stop trying, right? Build proof instead. This would be collecting testimonials, sharing client wins, strength PRs, consistency streaks, right? And, this changed my energy and confidence stories and simple measurable outcomes. So not because you need permission, but because proof is oxygen for the people who are ready. Now, 5 is where we build weak ties on purpose. And this is where your growth will come from in this landscape for you, right? So people who meet you as the current version of you do not need to reconcile your past. They just see what you do now. So create opportunities to be discovered by new people. Guest pods, and I'm speaking from experience, guest podcast spots, collaborations with adjacent creators, workshops, maybe it's a local community event, referral programs, Substack cross-pollination, blog articles, things like that, right? The people who will buy are more often the people who are seeking, not the people who are familiar. And, grieve the fantasy and then get back to work. And this is important. This is an emotional closure that sets you free. It's a cathartic process, like that you've had, a ball and chain attached to your ankle, and now you've unlocked it and you are moving freely without it, right? It is normal to wish your inner circle would show up louder. It is, right? Because we all want that support and we feed off of that connection, right? It is normal to feel disappointed when they don't. So let yourself feel it without making it your identity, right? It's like, you see what's happening, it's see the feels, experience the feels, deal with the feels, and move on, but don't be the feels, right? Notice them. That's it. Then release it. And because if you build your business to finally earn their recognition, then you're going to create a business that is fueled by emotion or hunger, not leadership. And it's truly a recipe for burnout and resentment. And a note for people who are listening. If you're someone close to a builder, a coach, a founder, and you've been quiet, I'm just going to say this gently and clearly. Sometimes silence is not neutral, right? Sometimes it lands as a dismissal. And you don't have to buy. It's not about pushing to do that. You don't have to join. You don't have to be a cheerleader if that's not your style, right? But if someone you love is building something real, just acknowledge it like it's real, like you would somebody else's thing that you would share, right? And then ask a question, like, you know, share their work and say, I see how hard you're working, right? And I've gotten a lot of that, and I'm very grateful for that, right? And, that goes a long way. And then if their growth makes you uncomfortable, just name it privately to yourself instead of like feeling like you have to dismiss them in public. Please don't do that. Don't do that because, quite honestly, you're allowed to be triggered. We're all human. I get triggered by stuff. Obviously, this triggered me. Okay. And the thing is, you're not allowed to make that their cage. Don't hold them into that. So one day when you are undeniably successful, and some people will say, I always knew she made it, they will say it with confidence. And they will say it like they were there the whole time. And many of them still will not buy. And some people are going to lie and be like, oh, yeah, I had her back the whole freaking time. Like, no, you didn't. No, you fucking didn't. You were the one that was like, well, good luck with that. Or, hope it works out. Or do you think that's a good idea? You're going to run into all of that, right? And again, many of them will still not buy. And that's fine, right? Because your mission is not to be validated by proximity. Your mission is to serve the people who are ready. I am in the business of people, and I am providing them a service of fitness and mindset coaching, right? It's an empire that is not built on inner circle approval. It's built on work, the craft, the consistency, the standards, the lived experience, the learning, the studying, the knowledge, the proof. And, so take this as fuel and stop begging the inner circle to see you and start building for people who are searching for you. And then keep showing up until your work becomes too loud to ignore. All right, Badgers, that's it. If this special episode hit you in the chest, I can tell you it certainly gut punched me. Take a breath, right? You're not crazy. You're not too intense. I've been told I'm too intense. Too bad. You're not asking for too much. You're just learning where to stop seeking expert level validation from, those inner circle roles. And if you want to support the show, do simple things that actually matter. Share this episode with one builder who needs to hear it. Leave a review, leave comments, right? I love the comments. I love to see that if one person gets something from this, or screenshot it, post it, and tag me so that I can personally thank you and hype you up like the feral professional that I know you are and that I am. And if you're ready for coaching, training, and the kind of support that blends science, strategy, and real life, come find me inside the Gritty Glitter Badger Fitness app. The details are in the show notes. I'm in there every day, not an assistant, not a social media intern with a clipboard. It is me 100% in there every day. You can DM directly in the app also if you don't want to go on the community feed, get into the programs, and then actually build momentum with structure and accountability. So until next time, keep lifting, keep thinking, keep building, and stop shrinking your version to fit someone else's comfort. Now, go be undeniable.